Conceive, believe, achieve.
This is former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael Bisping.
Paddy the Baddy here. You're listening to Combat Sports UK.
And you're watching Combat Sports UK.
Hello, my name is Ben Thomas and you're watching Combat Sports UK. Today, I'm joined by the one, the only Levi Young Money Batchelor, who returns to action at Cage Warriors Academy 8 this Saturday. First things first, Levi, most important question of the day. How are you doing? How is life treating you at the moment?
Doing great. Obviously, we're into fight week now. So, I'm looking forward to this weekend. Fight week is normally a bit of a slog. You're sort of nearly there. But looking forward to it.
How's the weight cut going for you? Is it nice and smooth at the moment? Feeling good?
Yeah, it's smooth as it can be, to be honest. Feeling brilliant still. Feeling brilliant. Not drained or anything. So that's good.
That's what we love to hear going into fight week. But before we get into your return this Saturday, let's briefly mention your last outing. You took on Ioannis McKenzie and unfortunately fell short on the judges' scorecards. Watching that back, what do you make of that fight?
I just wasn't switched on, to be honest. It didn't show the level of fighter that I actually am, and that I show myself and sort of teammates in the gym. It was just it's a complete sort of, it's going to be good for the future because it gives me a lot of experience on sort of being able to adapt mid-fight. I went in there with maybe the wrong sort of game plan and mindset and wasn't able to adapt when it didn't work out. But I think probably taking something like the biggest thing from that fight will be being able to adapt on the spot a little bit better.
So, and that was obviously your first loss on your record. But from what we could see on the outside looking in, you've handled it like a true champion. I believe you went to like Dubai, Abu Dhabi or something to top up your tan. How important was it to try and get away and just clear your head from that night in Evervale?
Yeah, it's really important. I had a nice bit of time off after that last fight. Obviously, if I had won that fight, I'd have been going anyway, and I've sort of been celebrating the win. But it was nice to clear your head anyway. But don't let that fool you. I was over there for 16 nights, and I trained every day. And it's just a mindset, and especially coming off of a loss as well. I could have just sort of moped about and sort of enjoyed the time off, but I was still in the gym, working at least once a day, and just wanting to better myself really.
Even from after the event, because obviously me and Ben were backstage, we could see that you had your head held high. You were always speaking to your family, your friends. Was that to see their reaction? Because it was quite a glum reaction, as you'd expect. Was it kind of motivating to see that reaction from not just yourself, but your friends, your family?
100%. You see every time I fight, win or lose this time, is you see the amount of support that I get. And to be honest, like sort of post fight as well, the support has been pretty good, and you've been able to sort of see who your good mates are, and spend a bit of time with your mates and your family and stuff, and you'll still see that Saturday. Just because I'm coming off of a loss doesn't mean that people aren't going to show up. People are still showing up to watch me.
You definitely have that strong support, but we will now get into the return. You take on Ioannis Marathias, who is 6-4 as an amateur. He's recently strung together 3 wins in a row and has some good momentum heading into this matchup. Have you seen much of your opponent? And if so, what do you expect him to bring come fight night?
I've seen a little bit about him. To be honest, on paper, he is probably a better fighter than me. Looking at paper alone, I've seen that he's a BJJ brown belt. He's had a lot of kickboxing experience. He's competed at the IMAF. He's obviously got a bigger sort of record than me, even though he's got sort of more losses. He's an experienced MMA amateur. So it's going to be nice, especially coming off of a loss as well. I could sort of say to my coaches, look, I want a bit of a can, and I want to go in and get a bit of momentum rolling again. But we're looking at the best guys. Amateur is all about experience. I'm going to go in there, and whether or not he's better than me in certain areas, I'm gonna give it my all and sort of just test yourself, because at the pro ranks you're probably going to want to take a little bit more time to feel your way in and work your way up. But at the minute, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to go in and fight the best to the best.
You briefly just mentioned that he is a very well-rounded opponent for yourself. How do you see this fight playing out then when the cage doors shut?
It's hard to sort of say. I'm expecting him to be a sort of heavy grappler, a little bit like my last fight. I'm gonna expect him to sort of come in, looking to wrestle, looking to grapple. I've seen that he's a little bit explosive with sort of flying triangles, jumping guillotines, and sort of stuff like that. So it's just stuff to be wary of. But I've seen that he gets tagged a lot, and things like that. But I'm just working every area of my game as much as he's working every area of his. And like I said, making the adaptations as from my last loss. Hopefully that's going to show on the night.
So how have you been preparing for this fight? Obviously, you're coming off that loss from Jan, and this next opponent is very well-rounded. Has it kind of been like every other training camp at Sure MMA, or have you been making adjustments?
Yeah, of course we're making adjustments all the time. We've been focusing on a lot more drilling and things like that to actually rather than just beasting yourself constantly. We've been looking at a lot more technical stuff, and hopefully that's gonna work out.
And this is actually your first fight in a while where gold isn't on the line for you or isn't up for grabs after you vacated the bantamweight strap in August. And that's because you're now focusing all your attention on the featherweight division. Was that a difficult decision for you to make, or was it something you just had in the pipeline already?
I think it was something that was coming anyway. I'm not a small person for the weight. And to be honest, amateur rule set with same day weigh-ins, 61 just wasn't doing me anymore. So I'm a lot healthier stepping up to featherweight, despite obviously not holding the belt of the weight. I'll still keep working my way through the ranks, and eventually I'll get another title shot, and I'll look to sort of be on that throne in the division. But until then, I'm just staying a lot healthier for the same day weigh-ins and things. And then once I eventually turn pro, I'll look to go back to bantamweight, but just take things as it comes.
So you do possibly see a return to bantamweight in the future, do you?
Yeah, 100%. You look at Jack Shaw and Brett Johns. They're not small bantamweights by far, and they seem to make the weight. You got people like Josh Reed as well, which is obviously he's just stepped up to featherweight, but he's had 20 bantamweight fights, and he's probably bigger than me. So we definitely make the weight. And I've seen some of these people, and just cutting weight is a big part of the sport now. As long as it, as much as it is a nice, it's a big part of the sport.
So let's now talk a bit about your gym, the one and only Sure MMA. You just mentioned a few, but you are the home of countless killers and actually participants on this weekend's card. I think you've got maybe 4 or 5 competing this weekend. How much of a boost is it for not just yourself, but the other lads to be fighting on the same card? Does it kind of help you as a gym knowing you have this deadline to make weight to then fight on Saturday night?
Yeah, having like more people fighting on the card, it's nice because you sort of have the groups where in the gym where people that aren't fighting, they're off doing their sort of working hard. We're working together. We're working on towards the same thing. It's fight night, and it's nice because everyone sort of comes together. There's a lot more atmosphere in the sort of warming up area and things like that. And then you've obviously got the support then as well, where people that don't necessarily support you, they're supporting people from your gym, and they sort of support you because of that. So then it obviously pushes a little bit more support on again, which is obviously, as you mentioned earlier, a bit more motivational.
So let's now cast our minds back a few weeks. You were in attendance at KJR's 142 in your backyard of Ebervale. What was the experience like for you to just sit back and watch your teammates, and specifically Oban, step in there and compete amongst that incredible atmosphere?
Yeah, it was an amazing show, to be honest. The setup was lovely. If we could sort of get our setup in for a show that I'm on, I'd be laughing because I really liked it. But yeah, Oban had a phenomenal performance. He's going to go on to do bigger things in the division. And I would have liked to be on the card myself, to be honest. It was a shame. Like I went on holidays and stuff, relaxed a little bit, and I just didn't have that time to prepare. But otherwise, I would have 100% wanted to be on there.
You speak about the setup of the whole event. Obviously, there was a big budget behind it. It looked very fancy. It was all beautifully run. Not that
Yeah,
Cage Warriors Academy isn't, because that is very well run as well. But
yeah.
did seeing that sort of setup kind of motivate you to keep pushing even harder and then get to these bigger shows where this is the weekly occurrence?
Yeah, definitely. Being able to say that I've sort of been to the UFC and like seen that behind the scenes and things, and even going to like the Bellator events and stuff like that, they're just so like the atmosphere and just the actual like production and everything is just so high level, and it is inspiring to sort of want to be on them shows yourself. Looking at them lights, and you got your opponent in front of you, and it's just it is a dream, really.
I mean, that's the perfect way to then go into my next question. You did just bring up Bellator, and I could see you in the crowd at Bellator 285 with Jack, with the
Yeah.
Welsh flag, supporting Brett the Pikey Johns. How was your trip to Dublin, and what was the atmosphere like in the arena? Because from my standpoint, watching on TV, it was absolutely phenomenal over there.
I tell you what, they don't do it like the Irish. It's the Welsh support is great, but with the bigger arenas over in Ireland, it's honestly phenomenal. The Peter Queeley main event coming out of the Zombie, everybody was up on their feet singing. The atmosphere is incredible, and I can't imagine what it'd be like if Brett was able to fight James Gallagher on that show, because that would have been another big support for Gallagher, and hopefully we see that again. But it was a really good, well run show, and the experience itself was nice as well.
Which one do you think's a bit better run? Which one do you prefer going to? Do you prefer going over to Vegas to watch the UFC, or do you maybe prefer staying in either Ireland here watching Bellator? Which one's better for you? Which one do you prefer?
No, obviously I prefer the UFC, but I'll be honest, like I had a better experience with the UFC because I was obviously involved, sort of behind the scenes a little bit, which was amazing. But speaking to my coaches and things like that have obviously had a few times over in Bellator and stuff now, they don't really see too much difference between the two promotions, and they're picking up a lot of guys that are sort of leaving the UFC, and they're paying a good wage and things like that. So to be honest, I wouldn't be afraid to sort of look at having one or two fights over on Bellator, because it looks really well run and you get some good experience from it as well.
Yeah, that's one thing I was just about to ask. Would you actually consider going to Bellator, maybe having a few bouts before maybe stepping up into the UFC?
Yeah, well, the plan was obviously to sort of go the Cage Warriors route, which has always been the sort of blueprint for our gym. But if the opportunity arose to go and fight on Bellator for a couple of fights, I'd obviously have to talk about it, but I would definitely be up for it. They pay well, the competition level is high, and like I said, everything backstage and stuff is pretty similar to the UFC. So I don't see why not.
That would certainly be interesting to see going forward. But this is a question I kind of like to ask all the fighters I interview. What is one thing that mixed martial arts has taught you, maybe mentally, physically? Is there anything it's taught you?
Yeah, I suppose discipline is a big one. Having to get up in the morning, do your runs and whatever, and then you've obviously got the whole sort of mental side with the diet, and you've got to be disciplined there. You sort of got to watch your family and your friends go out for meals and drinks and all this sort of stuff, and you sort of got to sit back and just sacrifice it a little bit. But hopefully it'll be worth it in the future. It'll all pay off, as they say. But yeah, I'd say discipline is probably the biggest one.
So, talking about the future, where do you maybe see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years if you look forward?
Well, 5 to 10 years. well, I've only been in the sport itself for about 4.5 years, so sort of doubling or tripling the amount of experience I've had already. I would like to see myself as a well-established pro, or pushing on for something big in the UFC or Bellator or wherever I end up at that time. But yeah, I'd like to say I'd be quite a high level pro by then.
And finally, for those out there listening now who maybe haven't seen you fight before, what should they expect when you step into the cage on Saturday night at Cage Warriors Academy Wales?
Just expect a well-rounded fight. This boy is coming to win. Like I say, he's a lot better than me on paper, and he's not flying over here from Greece to just roll over and lose the fight. So expect fireworks, to be honest.
Well, there we have it, Levi. Those are all the questions I have for you today. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk to us. You can check out Cage Warriors Academy Wales on Fight World TV, or you can find tickets over on the Cage Warriors Academy Wales social media. We wish you all the best of luck for the fight, and we'll catch up with you after, I'm sure.
Nice one. Thank you for having me on.